Thank you for attending today's event. My name is Grant Traylor. I'm the Associate AD of Communications here at Marshall University, and I'd like to welcome you to the Brad D. Smith Center for Business and Innovation. Today, we welcome Gerald J. Harrison as Vice President and Director of Athletics at Marshall. Thank you all. Just to give you a quick run of the show really quick, here in just a few minutes we are going to hear from President Brad D. Smith and Athletic Director Harrison. At the conclusion, we will have a quick Q&A that will consist of four to six questions from our media members up top. And following that, we will close today's presser. And then for the media up top, there will be one-on-one interviews at the backdrop. As we get started, first off, I'd like to welcome the entire Harrison family to Marshall University in my hometown. And Tori, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it's good to see you in Kelly Green. We know that, but here there is such a great community of support for AD Harrison and his family, and I look forward. Just look at this crowd. I mean, that's what it's all about, and this shows you the impact of Marshall Athletics, Marshall University, and the city of Huntington. This year for me, Marshall for All, Marshall Forever takes on a little bit different meaning as my daughter becomes part of the Marshall family. I look up in the crowd and I see Keith Morehouse, somebody who helped me not only as a child here, but throughout my career. I see so many people from the community, Jeff Shields and everybody in here that has kind of made me who I am, and I think that that's very, very special, and I look forward to sharing that experience with the Harrison family. Marshall for All, Marshall Forever means Marshall for All, Marshall Forever, your family for life. As I look around the room and we look at the great successes of what we've done, we are on the path to greatness, and I can't wait to share that with the Harrison family. We've done so much, and we still have so much to do, and I look forward to taking this journey with them together. To get us started today, I'll introduce someone who embodies Marshall for All, Marshall Forever, a guy who's made a global impact. We all know about him. I've known about him since I was a little kid and followed his path, and his path led him back home, which is very, very special to us. And he will sit here today and tell you that one of the greatest successes and one of his greatest sources of pride is coming back to Marshall University to lead us. Our president, Brad D. Smith.
Thank you, Grant, for that kind introduction. Wow, what an amazing crowd here. What a great day, another milestone moment at Marshall University in our storied history. Today's an exciting day because it's the next chapter in Marshall Athletics. We all know to serve as the Director of Athletics at Marshall University is more than a job. It's a calling. And it's one of the most visible expressions of our values, our culture, and our aspirations. Athletics is when excellence takes the field. It's when our community pride is on full display. And it's when we all come together and see the next generation of leaders being shaped, whether it's on a court, a diamond, a swimming pool, a field, and all the other forms of competitive opportunity. Now, I will tell you, every athletic director who's ever had the chance and the privilege to serve this university recognizes they stand on the shoulders of giants, those who came before them. And I want to begin by acknowledging and expressing my heartfelt gratitude to Christian Spears, who brought vision, velocity, and outcomes. He hired great coaches, He created winning programs. He had a successful fundraising. He was able to build and enhance facilities. And at the end of the day, he laid a strong foundation. And then he's handing the torch to the next amazing leader. And the next athletic director we knew was going to have this foundation to build upon, but was going to have to tackle this shifting landscape in NCAA athletics. So when we set out on this search in May 21st, we set the bar incredibly high. We were looking for a transformational leader, someone who was purpose-built for this moment in time as NCAA athletics is getting completely redefined. We knew we needed someone who not only appreciated athletic and academic excellence, but someone who brought the business acumen to think about new ways to grow revenue and manage the fiscal realities in which we all have to operate. And perhaps most importantly of all, we have 5 leadership traits that we hold ourselves accountable for at Marshall and we screened for in this process. Someone who's a strategic thinker, thinks over multiple time horizons. Someone who drives for results, establishes bold goals, figures out the priorities and resources them. Someone who builds a high-performance culture, who can attract and retain the top talent, and then create an environment where they can do the best work of their lives. Someone who innovates for impact, wakes up every day and says, there has to be a new and better way to make this happen. And last but not least, someone who inspires through personal action, brings intellectual curiosity, humility, teamwork, and perhaps Marshall's secret sauce, grit. As we were going through this interview process, one person from the beginning to the end embodied all of these aspects and more, Gerald Harrison. Gerald is bringing to Marshall University more than 2 decades of excellence in D1 athletics. He has had incredibly impactful tenures at Tennessee, at Duke, and most recently at Austin Peay State University, where he served as the vice president and director of athletics. He had record-setting fundraising. He created groundbreaking corporate sponsorships. He created 13 opportunities for his teams to win conference championships, 3 in football in the last 5 years. He hired 16 coaches, 6 of whom received Head Coach of the Year honors. And last but not least, in the academic setting, 16 consecutive semesters of student-athlete grade point average of 3.0 or higher. Unbelievable. Excellence across every dimension of his responsibility. But it's not just what Gerald has accomplished in his life, it's how he does it. With humility, with discipline, and with a commitment to the broader mission. He has earned a reputation everywhere he goes as a bridge builder across the campus and the community while being a winner in athletics. And as soon as he showed up on campus, every stakeholder saw what was obvious to us in the search and screen committee. They saw a man who is a transparent communicator, someone who can connect with every individual regardless of their title or role. We saw not only a leader who is capable, but someone who's kind and authentic. Now, when we asked Gerald about all those things, Gerald says, I'm just a country boy who's done good. But then he gives full credit to the coach, Coach Harrison, and to his mother, former Superintendent Valerie Harrison, to his sister, who is a vice principal, Jaron, to his daughters, Tori and Lori, to his wife, Lisa, to his niece and nephew, who we have Miss Corey in the house, who had to step out for a minute because the fight song scared her a little bit, and Royce. Naisha, his friend for many years, all the individuals who have been with him, who have been a support network, who have been the house that built him, he quickly deflected. But let me tell you what people in the interview said about Gerald. I wrote a few of them down. There were dozens of write-in comments. But when I actually got to see all the results come back, these were some of the things that were said. Gerald Harrison will be the fans' athletic director. He's an excellent fit for this area, our donor base, and our fans. I loved his concept of being the most complete athletics department and setting up our student athletes for success in life after sports. Without pause, Gerald Harrison is my #1 choice, and his wife, Lisa, brings an unbelievably positive tone. This is a dynamic duo. We're getting a team package. It is a real plus. Last but not least, what can I say, Miss Lisa? Gerald Harrison and his family will be a complete home run for Marshall's Thundering Herd. Gerald, you're joining a special place. As you can tell, my friend, before I bring you up to the podium, because I know I'm a little long-winded, It's all right. Miss Corey's back in the house too. You're joining a special place. You can tell our community is deeply invested in our athletics, but they are deeply invested in you. At Marshall University, we don't just compete, we uplift. We remind everyone in this community that we matter, that we can compete, and that we have a lot to show the world. And I will tell you, today we humbly hand this torch for Marshall Athletics in support of Marshall for All, Marshall Forever to you. We know it's in good hands, and I will tell you this entire community stands with you. We are ready to work with you, and we're going to support you as you take us to the next chapter of great. And now, as I bring you up to the podium for all of Herd Nation, I get to actually bestow an honor that is so time-honored tradition that Augusta Masters has copied it. Well, I will say, Miss Valerie, I might have stretched the truth a little bit. The green jacket to your 23rd Athletic Director of Marshall University, Gerald Harrison.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, wow, you know, it's funny. President Smith mentioned my friend Naisha. I had her look over my remarks prior to my speech, and one of the things I had in there, I said, being from the great state of South Carolina, I said, ain't God good? And she took it out of my speech. She said, don't sound that country to start. But you're going to get who I really am, and I'm going to say it again, ain't God good? This is amazing. I mean, I don't know what to say. I have these remarks, and I'm going to get through them, and I won't keep you long because I got to get to work. With that kind of introduction, I don't think anybody's paying me to stay here and talk. But it is truly an honor to be at Marshall University and for the Harrison family to officially become a part of the Huntington community. From the moment we stepped foot in the city, Lisa and I talked about this when I came for the interview. We walked from the airport to the chief giving us a ride to the hotel, to us just walking around downtown. The number of people who said hello, that just stopped and gave a warm greeting, not having a clue who we were or why we were here. The Marshall student who served us dinner at Roosters, she didn't know who I was or what I was doing, and she kept asking questions. She was like, so why are you here? What brings you to Marshall? And we're like, well, you know, we're from Nashville. We didn't want to give away too much. She goes, so who do you know? And I was like, well, I'm going to blow this NDA up real fast if I keep talking to this lady. But we got through it. But we felt a sense of warmth and belonging that's hard to describe and really impossible to ignore when you think about this community. Let me begin by thanking President Smith, the Board of Governors, and the Search Committee for entrusting me with the privilege of serving as the Vice President and Director of Athletics at one of America's great institutions of higher learning, Marshall University. One thing you're going to learn about me, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This is truly one of America's great institutions of higher learning, and our athletics department will meet that standard as well. So thank you for this opportunity. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank Kristen Spears. I had a chance to talk with him. He was gracious enough to call me after the announcement, and we talked for about 30 minutes. His leadership over the past few years has elevated Marshall athletics in countless ways: facility enhancements, competitive success. And so there's, like you said, there's a foundation. And I want to thank him for what he did, because he definitely left this department better than he found it. And I'm grateful for the relationship, the conversation, and the foundation that he laid. It goes without saying that Marshall is an incredible opportunity for any administrator. That was clear by the caliber of candidate pool that I had to face. With this tradition, national recognition, and competitive success, Herd Nation stands tall on its own. But what made Marshall especially appealing for me personally, as I said earlier, was the people. The conversations that you have that you didn't expect to have when you walk downtown, grab dinner, and it's amazing. You just knew you belonged. And you know, there's something about being in a place where you feel like you belong. And that's what this community did for Lisa and I. The other part of this, and I think all of you know it, is when you talk about a university, it's not about the leadership. As for President Smith, his spirit is infectious. It really is. His love for Marshall and for the people of West Virginia is real. You know, people talk about that kind of stuff. But if you spend any time with him, you know where his passion lies. His Marshall for all, Marshall forever vision, it isn't just innovative. It's not. It's beyond innovative. It's inspiring. I was inspired when I left his office that day. I was inspired and fired up to do everything I could do to become the Vice President, Director of Athletics here at Marshall. And they put us through a little grueling process. But every stakeholder, every meeting that we had, I wanted them to know it. I think the last thing I said in every session was, no, I want this job. Because I think sometimes we forget that in these processes. You go through interviews and you talk about all the things you can do and you read stats, but sometimes you simply got to say, I want this job. And then what you're going to do. And that was something, but I was inspired by President Smith. And I'm honored to play a role in helping bring his vision to life. Trust me, leaving Austin Peay was not easy. But joining this team at this moment, and this leadership gave me and Lisa the clarity that we needed and the peace to say it's time. And speaking of Austin Peay, I want to thank President Licari. President Licari and I have an unbelievable relationship. Now, the ASUN is probably happy because we won't stand there together and yell at officials this year when they don't do it. Somehow they miss state calls, Coach. Sometimes they missed the holding call. We had to tell them about it. But to President Licari, the student athletes, coaches, staff, and incredible people of Clarksville, we accomplished much together. When I arrived in 2018, we had one goal, to build an exceptional department and leave it there better than we found it. I believe we did just that. And I'll always be rooting for the Govs, unless, they wind up on the schedule. Then we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Now, allow me a moment to introduce the other important pieces that make this whole. And President Smith did a great job. But my wife, Lisa, and Tori and Lori, Tori is out there. Tori is a guard on the women's basketball team at Western Kentucky. Her coach graciously allowed her to come with us today, but only if I made the following statement. Just for clarity, she is not in the transfer portal. So I had to say that statement because he wanted that out there, but I know her mama, so I got a chance. But Lori is the personality of our family. She's a rising high school junior. And if you can't tell, she is her mother's twin in every way. But she keeps the energy going in our household. And then I'm also proud to be joined by my parents. My dad, we call him Coach. Everybody calls him Coach. My mom, Valerie. My sister, Jaren. And then Corey and Royce. So anybody want to get bouted in here, I got backup. I brought friends just in case y'all didn't like me too much. I brought backup. But now, I know everybody's tired of hearing that stuff. Let's talk about the job at hand. Growing up with educators, I learned on how to build a strong foundation. My mother, an English teacher by trade, taught me the basics of a good story as she marked up every book report I ever did. Who, what, when, where, and how. That's the questions that we got to ask and solve together to get this next chapter of Marshall Athletics going. So let's talk about the who. The who. Simply put, the herd. Our student athletes, staff, coaches, administrators, faculty, alumni, the Huntington community, all of us. It takes everyone working together to make history. If you got a piano and you just start pressing one key, it doesn't sound very good. But when you start playing it together and everything goes together, it sounds like a symphony. You make beautiful music. And so what I want to do, we want to sound like Stevie Wonder on that keyboard. We want to make beautiful music together, and we're going to get that done. So it starts with us, the who, all of us in this room, the what. And we're on an unwavering pursuit to build not just a top-tier athletics department, but as I said before, the most complete one in the country. The most complete athletics department is pretty simple. You want to win games, yes. You want to win championships, yes. But academically, you got to be outstanding. You got to build for tomorrow, not just today. Our student athletes, whether they're here for 6 months or 4 years, 5 years, they got to leave here better for coming to this community, better for being a part of this university, and we can do that. That's what we're trying to do. Yes, we want to be great in competition, but to be complete, it takes it all. The bar must be set in academics, student-athlete development, and beyond. Another area, community engagement. You know, I feel strongly that we can't just ask you guys to support us, but we must show up for Huntington as well. We must be out and about. We must talk to people. We must earn the support that you guys provide by wearing your Kelly green, by chanting and doing all the things that you do wherever you are. And so we're going to do that. We're going to give it. One of the things I was greatly proud of at Austin Peay is the number of community service hours that our teams participated in. Not just by doing simple things, but actually being in the community, being a part of the churches, being a part of the Y, and doing things that will impact this community to not just uplift them, but to also feed the environment, to feed the county, to feed the area. That's what we want to do. I really believe, despite the noise in college athletics, our core remains the same. We got to recruit, educate, graduate, and prepare our student athletes for life after Marshall. We will be active campus partners. We will be active campus partners. We will show up for you, and we want you to show up for us. So our what is a model of excellence for everybody, on and off the field. When? Right now, and for the days to come. There's no better time like now to invest in Marshall athletics. You know, sure, today is just day one, and I don't even know where my office is yet, honestly. But as Jenny and Teddy and Xander and anybody who's worked with me, this journey began the moment we said yes. I got on the phone and started talking about what can we do, what is now. In the coming weeks, I'll work with President Smith and the leadership team to build a strategic plan for athletics that aligns with the university's bold vision, and it starts today. I need all of you who are involved today to start thinking about what we can do to do something extraordinary. Where? Right here, on the campus of Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia, and wherever the herd competes. Wherever our alumni are, that's where this starts. So whether it's football, basketball, soccer, or any herd event where the fans are chanting and roaring, "We are Marshall," that's just not a cheer for our team, that's an affirming legacy. That's affirming a legacy of what's been built here. We stand on the shoulders of giants, it's true. There's a legacy that is here, and we are going to add to that legacy. Marshall for all, Marshall forever isn't just a slogan, it's a belief, and it will continue right here with us. How are we going to do it? Through hard work, collaboration, strategic thinking, and a healthy dose of energy. I believe in bringing it every day. I cannot stand people they're not excited to come to work. Every day is a blessing. You've been given another 24 hours. Let's make it happen. Let's do something. Let's smile on our face. There's an old commercial, and Naisha and them are probably tired of hearing this, but there's an old commercial that was out in the 80s with a guy that was a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. And he would get up every morning, the alarm would go off, and he would hit the thing, and it's time to make the donuts. Those people can't be around me. I want somebody excited about the new kind of donut they're going to make today. That's the type of person that we got to have around us, and that's the energy. Let's embrace innovation. Let's dare to be intentional about being great. If we can do that, we will build a culture that wins at everything. I talk about winning all the time. Everything is better when you win. Everything is better when you win. And in life, you can win at every aspect. Everything is better, and I'm not going to go into my corny joke about that, but everything is better when you win. This is what I like to call the herd mentality. The herd mentality. With the herd mentality, we will honor the journey. We will engage folks with purpose. We will rise through innovation, and we will dedicate everything we do to others. That's what we're going to do. That's our mentality when we wake up every morning, and it's time to go. It's time to do what we have to do. Together, we won't just do something special. We'll do something extraordinary. We'll do something extraordinary. And every time the Sons of Marshall plays, or every time somebody chants, "We are Marshall," or we see somebody else in Kelly Green, we will be proud of everything that's been done, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the field, whether it's a new program started by the university, whether it's a rise in enrollment, no matter what it is, we're going to take pride because we are here to do something extraordinary. So with that being said, I don't know about you guys, but I got to get to work. And before I do, I have seen the movie, like everybody else has. And so one thing I want to do, and so this We Are Marshall thing, I wanted to do that. Is that okay if I do that? So I'm going to yell We Are, and y'all going to join me, right? I'm not going to be by myself. Don't make me feel bad out here. I was always the chunky one on the dance floor. Sometimes people left me. I don't want that. So here we go. We are Marshall! There you go. Thank you. God bless you all.
All right, we're ready to get to work. With this portion, we will open it up for the Q&A. I believe our first question will come from Keith Morehouse. Media members up top, if you don't care, raise your hand. David O'Leary will bring you the mic, and please state your name and affiliation.
Hi, Gerald. Keith Morehouse, WSAZ. Welcome. You know more than most the changes of intercollegiate athletics. As you look forward with the NIL and portal, how creative do you have to be to retain student athletes and attract student athletes these days?
You have to be really creative. Thank you for the question, and look forward to shaking your hand in just a second here. But you have to be really creative, because one thing that we can't change, there's always a financial challenge. There's only so much money, there's only so many things you can do. But one thing you can do is provide the best student-athlete experience possible. And so where our niche is going to be, sure, we got NIL, we're going to be there at rev sharing, but also when you come to this campus and be a part of this athletics department in this community, it's going to be something unique for you. We're going to sow into who you are as a person. We're going to ask you what is your level of success. And so I know sometimes people think that's pie in the sky and really, yeah, sure, Bunny's going to win it all. But there's conversations that you have where it comes down between you and another school that you're competing against have similar numbers. How do you win that battle? By providing a great student-athlete experience. Your facilities being great, where they eat, where they train, all that stuff matters. And what we're going to work to build is an infrastructure where that is great as well. And so we do it right by our student-athletes, they will become the best ambassadors, and then we'll let the NIL and everything else take its place. But our number one thing is to try to keep them here.
Hi, Gerald. Paul Swan, Kinder Communications. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So when they show you your office and you finally get to sit down at your desk, do you have sort of already an idea of some of the priority action items that you want to tackle first, or is that plan still being formulated?
It's still being formulated, honestly. I mean, there's some things I got questions about that I want to learn more about. I'm really excited about the new deck at the stadium. I want to learn more about that. So a lot of it will be learning from the start. But I don't sit still often, so my feet will be moving and my head will be going. But it'll take me a minute to figure out exactly what's going to happen first. But I think Brad and I will talk and really get that hammered out early in the process.
Gerald, Ryan Wilson, 13 News. Welcome to Huntington.
Thank you.
In your time, you spent time at Duke and Tennessee. In that time or even before then, what's some advice you've gotten that you've taken to your job at Austin Peay and that you're going to bring here to Marshall?
I've been very fortunate to have some outstanding mentors. And I got asked that question earlier. Everybody that I worked with taught something different. I think the number one thing is consistency. And one thing I want to be for our student athletes, for our staff, for our community, is you're going to know what to expect when you talk to me. Now, and I'm very blunt, so you may not like everything I always say, but you know what to expect when we sit across from each other, and you don't feel like we're going to waver either way. So consistency, and that's something Coach Fulmer at Tennessee taught me. No matter how high, we'll win a game, beat Florida or something, and then we'll lose a game and get beat by Alabama, but he was still the same. In our building, what he treated our student athletes, the way he did things, the way he treated the staff was similar. And so I try to mimic that. I believe in prior preparation prevents poor performance. And that's one of David Cutcliffe's things. So I want to have a plan for everything, as much things as I can, at least a start to that. And then, Kevin White at Duke is about understanding the politics of the room. He said you got to know every constituency and what makes them tick. So I took that. But all of those things are great. But really, when you start thinking about it, my root came from my parents and my grandparents. And everybody reads in the resume, that's stuff they don't put in their news clippings and things. But my mom, my dad, my grandparents, Lisa's dad, they all gave something to me that taught me about life. And those lessons kind of gets you what you get today with Gerald Harrison, who's going to sit at that desk and try to make decisions in the best interest of Marshall athletics.
Hi, Gerald. Tyler Kennett for the Herald Dispatch. Nice to meet you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Just kind of following up on what he was saying, I guess in your tenure across everything you've done, is there a moment that sticks out as the biggest challenge you've ever had, and what did you do to go about tackling that?
Well, there's a couple of big challenges. I think we all went through COVID. I mean, that was a miserable challenge. But but you know what? Out of that, at Austin Peay, we were the first team to play a football game in the COVID era. We played Central Arkansas on national television. And I wanted that opportunity. I mean, now don't get me wrong, we got swabbed up to the top of your brain over and over again. But it was a great opportunity. We had to put a plan together. We had to work with ESPN. We had to work with all these people. We had to get conference permission and all these political things, and we got it done. That was a great opportunity. I think I've had some unique challenges. I mean, coming from Tennessee, where there's 100-something thousand people and very passionate, very similar to the passion that is in this room. And then you go to Duke, where Duke doesn't have a football history at all. And then so now you're trying to build a program and forget getting 100,000. I was happy to have 20,000 in the stands. And then join the Austin Peay, which was trying to just build it all back after going non-scholarship for football to get some respect to win 3 championships in 5 years. All that was a challenge. But I live in challenges. I love it because for every one challenge, there's 3 opportunities. I really believe that. You just got to search for them and find them.
All right, Coach. Ben Anderson, WMUL, Marshall University Student Radio. I know with ADs, you always putting your staff together. So you already have staff at Marshall, but do you kind of plan on also bringing in people that you've worked in the past, also at Austin Peay and other universities, to put your staff completely together?
You're trying to set me up for failure at the press conference. No, yeah, I mean, honestly, there's a great staff here. I haven't met everybody, so I'm looking forward to meeting and evaluating each of them. There is a person or two that I want to bring with me, and so we're going to see how that goes. I'm talking to my boss, but we're working through this. But no, we'll go through it. I want to learn about the people that are here first before I make too many snap decisions. But yeah, we may more reorganize than necessarily change.
All right. I think that will do it for our Q&A portion. Members of the media, reminder that President Smith and AD Harrison will be available at the second level following the conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for our new Vice President and the 23rd Athletic Director at Marshall University, Gerald J. Harrison. All righty. Thank you.